OCGTV here, back to talk Love is Blind Season 7. I watched both episode 5 and 6 to round out the first 6 episodes that Netflix put up. So we're going to get right into it. We saw all the first meetings now. They all went to Mexico together. There's a lot to talk about, but we need to get the Leo and Brittany crap out of the way first, where they finally met up. It was awkward because Leo's been awkward. Brittany at first accepted Leo's proposal, and then after they actually met, they decided not to go to Mexico together, or as the producers told it, the producers didn't choose them to go to Mexico, which I don't buy, because Leo and Brittany talked about instead of going to Mexico, they want to go to Miami together. So apparently they did that. They didn't work out. Not surprising, because she was not Leo's first choice, and Leo was just a big ol' pain. Even though I thought they could work out, both of their personalities for what they want from each other. Leo says that he doesn't want somebody just with him for his money, but he was gung-ho about choosing Brittany knowing how she is, and Brittany is gung-ho about having a man for his money. So I thought they could have worked out, but apparently not. I'm just confused why, if they're not even going to be a part of the second half of the season, why was Leo such a big part of the first 5 episodes? Like, he got a lot of screen time. And I'm assuming it's because maybe he, Brittany, Leah were like some of the only drama this season. That's what I'm assuming as to why Leo was such a big part of the first 5 episodes. But the editing overall has definitely been the biggest thing since I've been watching that's making me scratch my head. I don't think it's very good. Let me reiterate, this is my first time ever watching this show, 7 seasons in. And the editing, producing leaves a lot to be desired. And it's just odd. I just find it very odd that Leo was such a huge part of the first 5 episodes when he's not even a part of the last half of the season. And then there's another thing we're going to talk about, how episode 6 ended. That was strange. But next, we really got to get into Nick and Hannah and a lot of their cringe-worthy moments of these 2 episodes. So they met each other for the first time, and Hannah was not feeling Nick from jump from first sight of each other. There's a height issue, I guess, with Hannah, who she was wearing heels, and in her heels, she was taller than Nick, even though Nick is like 5'11" and she's 5'9", so he actually is like 2 inches taller than her when she's not wearing heels. But for some women out there, it is a problem if they're taller than their men if they're wearing heels, and I guess this is a problem for Hannah. But that is part of this experiment. You're supposed to get the emotional connection first, allegedly, and then meet in person and hope that love is blind. In Hannah's case, I don't think that is the case. But with Hannah, and I have never liked her. Anybody that saw the very first video I did of Love is Blind, I had to call her a plane because she's not a beauty like she wants to say that she is sometimes. But I think what it is with her, and I've said it all along, it's her insecurities, of course, but because of her insecurities, she is always overcompensating. And you know, I can't blame her, because if we're being honest, Hannah is like a mirror image of Chris from Family Guy. So much so that for every other video I do going forward, I will be referring to Hannah as Chris from Family Guy, because I cannot stand her. Because of her insecurities, she wants to make Nick feel insecure, and it has already become very obnoxious. So after their first meeting, where Hannah wasn't feeling Nick because of heights, whatever there, they meet up in Mexico, which is where everyone's going this season for their trip together, all the couples. And there is Well, Hannah's saying she's warming up to Nick, allegedly. And they did have sex, even though they were going around saying that they didn't, for whatever reason, I guess because of Nick. Nick, he has his issues too. We'll touch upon it a little here in a second. But first, the duck incident, where there's these big ducks out on the beach and Nick wants to get on them. He ends up racing this other older woman who is also making fun of Hannah for being jealous. But Hannah's saying that if Nick gets on the duck, it's going to give her the ick. And I think it's two things. Hannah's still not feeling Nick, really. And she's just a super insecure woman. A lot of the other women are commenting on Nick not being this big jock because he said he was a football player. But I specifically remember Nick saying that he was a punter kicker for playing football. So if anybody knows a little bit about football, they should know that the punter and kicker aren't these big jogs. So I don't think Nick was catfishing whatsoever in saying he's a football player when he did say he was a punter or a kicker. So I think that was another excuse from Hannah to try and make Nick seem like he's the bad guy in the situation. But no, Hannah, you are the bad guy in this situation because you are so insecure. And I get it because you look like Chris from Family Guy. So of course you're insecure. But now I feel like as the two episodes went on, 5 and 6, over and over again, she's trying to make Nick feel insecure to bring him down to her level because he's a very confident individual and he's kind of an average Joe. And yet he has good confidence and good for him, but she's like trying to break his confidence and it's really annoying to watch. Nick has a weird thing where he wants his image to be clean. He said that to Leah, which is why I think they were lying about them having sex or whatever. But I think Nick has issues with opening up emotionally. Like it took him a long time to open up when they were just chatting. And I kind of see it again now that they're together. But I would have a hard time opening up to Hannah too because she's just immature and crazy. And like... yeah, she's the youngest, whatever, but she's 26 years old. She's an adult. She's older than 25. Her brain is fully formed after 25. So, like, she is a grown adult, but she's really immature and she's just really insecure. She apparently also made the list about the 10 things she doesn't like about Nick that he found. And then in the previews, she's telling Nick that after a week, she changed him from a boy to a man. It's like, I just think she's going to get more and more obnoxious. And I've never liked her. And I tried to hold back after the first episode because I thought maybe I was being mean and I'll give her a chance. And she was mature in the whole Leo situation. But going forward, Chris from Family Guy will be called out in all of her insecure bullshit. She sucks. Let's move on to a happier couple, even though there's going to be issues, and that is Marissa and Ramses, who also met up in episode 5 and just really hit it off. I forgot to talk about in episode 4, as somebody that talks a lot about astrology on this channel, what really seemed to turn the tide in Marissa choosing Ramses over Bowden was finding out that Ramses is a Cancer with a Leo rising and a Leo moon. Marissa seemed to be really into that. I think she's an Aries. I don't know her other placements, but she was really into that, and they really seem into each other. What I enjoyed about their first meeting, seeing each other for the first time, was just how they were so engaged into each other and having fun with each other that Ramses literally forgot to pop the question in person with the ring like everybody does. He almost forgot the actual engagement because they were just so engaged with each other. And now that they're together in Mexico, they seem to not be able to keep their hands off of each other. I think they get along so well because they are just fun individuals, and it's always fun to have fun with your significant other. So I get it. I worry that they are going to burn out very quickly because they are so into each other that it just is not going to stay this high. They're going to have some problem. We have not gotten an illusion as to what their problem will be, like we have with other couples that also seem happy. So I don't know what's going to cause a rift between them, but I'm sure something will. At this point, I'm thinking they're just going to burn out because they are just so physically into each other. But like, that's the show. They got the emotional connection first. They meet each other. They also have the physical connection. They have fun together. Like, they seem like a great match. According to Marissa, their astrology works out. So, like, everything matches. But I am preparing myself for disappointment with them. I don't know what's going to come, but I'm sure something is. Next, we'll talk about Monica and Steven, who I have continued to like a whole lot. I would say altogether, they're still vibing very well too. One thing Monica was talking about a lot going into Mexico was how, because of her career, because of her college education, she's always judged men on where they went to college. And now Steven's just this electrician who just went to a 2-year college, and it's very different for her. But she seems to like the change. And I believe that. I think that they are into each other still. The only thing was an incident late in episode 6 after the whole meeting between everybody where Monica seemed to be over all of Steven's yapping. He is a talker, though. He does ramble. Like, he is a yapper. There is no doubt about that Steven just does a lot of yapping and he rambles on. And Monica felt like she couldn't get a word in edgewise. And so I don't fault her for that. It was an awkward moment and Steven played it off well. I think he understood. I think it was just more so awkward because Monica made him stop talking and then she herself didn't start talking for a while after cutting him off. But I kind of get it. He is very chatty, and yeah, so I don't know if that's going to allude to a bigger issue between them. To me, though, it was more of just like Monica setting some boundaries with Steven. Like, they are together for the first time. They also were just drinking, which makes people even more chatty. Like, regularly, I'm not very chatty, even though I get here on YouTube and yap. But in real life, I'm not that chatty unless I'm drinking, and then I am chatty. So I think he was extra chatty after drinking, and it did cause a little bit of an incident, but I didn't see it as that big of a deal. Monica got a little snappy, but it happens. Ashley and Tyler, I liked them so much, and I still do like them. But there has been a lot of alluding to Tyler's past. And even in the early episodes, Tyler talked about himself and how in the past, the way he went about relationships was immature and very surface level. And now that they're meeting in Mexico, he's like giving a warning to Ashley that some exes might come out of the woodwork and have a lot of negative things to say. And they're just clearly doing a lot of building to a lot of bad stuff's going to come out of Tyler's past. And I've seen a little bit on social media. I'm trying not to spoil myself, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But it does seem as though Tyler has a lot of kids. And there was an incident with an ex of him trying to steal from her or something. But, exes can hold sour grapes as well. So there's two sides to every story. Ashley's just so cool, though, that I don't want her to be saddled with a guy that has a lot of issues and has a lot of baggage. And Tyler has a lot of baggage. Or at least he's alluding to the fact that he has a lot of baggage. So they have fallen on my list of couples that I like thanks to Tyler. So right now I really only like Ramses and Marissa and Monica and Steven. So yeah, but let's move on to Taylor and Garrett. who I have given a lot of shit to Garrett, and I still feel the same way. Even them going to Mexico, they're the only couple that hasn't had sex. Not that that's a bad thing. Like, they just met again in Mexico, so do you really want to... Not every couple's going to give it up that fast, and that's okay. Is that a worry that the physical attraction isn't there between them? Maybe, but maybe both of them or one of them likes to wait a little while before they have sex, and that is okay. But Garrett's just weird, and I've never liked him. Like, apparently he has to wear tape over his mouth when he sleeps because Garrett's a psycho. I just don't like Garrett, and because of that, I don't know. But they could be the slow burn couple. I liked the slow burn couple on Love Island this season, but I don't like the slow burn couple. I really do like Taylor, though. I think she is one of my favorite women besides Ashley. Honestly, I like most of the women, except for Hannah and Alex. But even Alex is going to get more grief than I feel like more people dislike Alex than I do from what I've seen. But I do dislike Garrett, and I have the whole time. And much like my gut feeling about Hannah was right, there's just something about Garrett, at least in the way they edited him in the very first episode, much like the way they edited Hannah in the first episode. There's just something about Garrett I don't like. That leaves us with Alex and Tim. So we get this whole spiel about Alex worrying that she's too bossy, but then we get this whole spiel from Tim about how he doesn't like women to... I don't even know what he was saying. I don't even remember what Tim was saying, but I don't like Tim. I talked about this in my last video, that he was just trauma dumping all over Alex when they were first meeting and first talking, and she seemed more like his therapist than potential wife because of the way he went about it. And I was left wondering, and I still am wondering, what does Tim bring to the table? What is Tim bringing to this relationship? You know, he has this playful attitude with Alex that she doesn't seem to like. And I guess maybe that's similar to Hannah, where the whole duck situation, Hannah was not enjoying Nick having fun. So maybe Alex also doesn't enjoy Tim having fun. Maybe that is a similar insecurity issue. I don't know what it is with some women, and if their men are having too much fun, it's like they're so miserable that they have to shit all over it, I suppose. So, yes, Alex has her issues as well. But I think Tim has bigger issues. And I know Alex is going to get a lot of hate after this episode, and maybe rightfully so, because apparently they had some big fight. But here's my other problem with the producing and the editing of this show. I don't understand how they didn't show the fight. Did they not record the fight? Did it happen when they weren't recording? I don't understand. It seemed like it happened after the big meeting. There was no camera crews around after the big meeting following them back to the hotel. Like, I don't understand why we're not seeing the fight. But we're hearing about the fight. And now we have to make up our own opinions about both of them just hearing about the fight. Apparently, Alex got really mad. You know, she talked about having some anger issues. She talked about being bossy. And apparently she was calling him some names, and Tim wanted to get away the way he told it anyway. She wanted him to shut up. It didn't make any sense, the retell. So I don't know whose side to take in the argument. But all I know is that from the beginning, I didn't feel these two could be in an actual relationship. I felt maybe friendship potential. But Tim's not looking for a wife. He's looking for a therapist and somebody to take care of him. And that happens a lot with guys, unfortunately. I do feel like guys get into relationships and they want another mommy, but And Alex kind of called him out on that already, that he's kind of messy. He didn't, or she didn't like the way he packed his suitcases. I just don't think they're compatible. And I don't think Tim ever actually tried to get to know Alex. Tim was too busy talking about himself, trauma dumping all over Alex. And I think he's just not ready for a relationship. Going back to whatever he was saying early in Mexico, I was trying to follow him and I couldn't follow him. Like, on one side, he's saying he likes a woman that will push back against him, but then he's just saying he will just leave if a woman feels some type of way about him. So similar to Leo, I guess, he's kind of a contradiction. And I just think, Tim, you're not ready for a relationship, buddy. And, Alex might have her issues. Apparently, she's not really good in arguments and maybe goes too far or whatever. But Tim would get on my nerves too. Similar to Hannah, how Hannah gets on my nerves, I think Tim would get on my nerves too with the way he acts like he's so chill, but he has a lot of issues and he needs a therapist. He needs a real therapist. Alex is not your therapist, Tim. You need a real therapist, okay? Anyway, we'll see what the next few episodes bring. A lot of the couples having issues right now, or there's their potential for a lot of issues. Hopefully at least one or two couples make it. But we'll see. Like, if any couple should make it, it's Ramses and Marissa. But I know something's going to happen that's going to cut them off at the knees. But if the concept of the show supposedly works, they're the couple you would think it would work on, because they had the emotional connection while being blind and not seeing each other, and now they have this huge physical connection. They have fun together. They seem to just mesh so well. So will the concept work on them? Let's find out.